Hey guys, and welcome back to Ford Transit Custom Camper Conversion. In the video today, I'm going to be focusing on the second part of our custom van shades slash van blinds in our Ford Transit Custom. But before we do that, we need to pick up some essentials for our next part. This is what we have now for the second part of our build. So first thing, if you saw part one of this video, we built our actual backing pod itself. This is just built from some plywood, which we've then lined with four-way stretch carpet. We've got the actual blind itself. This is called a Hoppvals, and we picked this up from IKEA. Just a blind that will pull down and go behind our actual pod itself. The other things I've just picked up, I've got some self-tapping screws. The plan is that we want to be screwing directly through our ply, and we're going to go into the metalwork of the van just so that can be nice and secure. Our plan is to actually attach the blind to the unit itself. Also got some of these little screw caps. Just want to have this nice and neat on the back, and some Velcro tape. So what we're hoping to do is attach this trunking to the back of the pod itself. The reason we've got the trunking is because if the blind itself was just attached, that's probably going to start flapping around. So the plan is going to be blind on the floor. We're going to get the actual blind itself to fit inside this trunking, and that will almost give it tracks really, so the blind itself can go down there and it won't flap around, and keep it nice and close to the actual pod itself. And I'll go through the steps now and see if we can get this looking good and then into the van. So before I get anything absolutely fixed in place, one thing I wanted to do was dry fit really of this. To make sure that it's going to be able to fit. So the actual window itself. So this particular Hoppvals blind is the 1 meter version, and that should fit within the aperture. The other thing I want to check is the latch here for the window. So that comes out proud of the window itself. I want to make sure the blind itself can still get in front of that, and we can pull that closed. So temporarily, I've just put some little bits of Velcro tape on the back of this, just to temporarily fix this in place, and then I can get this up to the window itself and make sure that that goes in place okay, and then we should be on to a more permanent fitting. During that dry fit, I've actually noticed a little bit of a design flaw, and I should have thought about this actually, because when I've looked at the proper van shade pods that you can buy, they all have a slight cutout here. And that cutout is to enable you to actually pull the blind down beyond the actual edge. And I've forgotten to do that. So I'm just going to now try and carefully peel back some of the four-way stretch carpet itself. Make sure I don't make a mess of the whole panel. I'm going to try and cut out this arc here, so then we'll be able to pull the actual blind down. Every day's a school day. Hopefully I make these mistakes so you don't have to. Okay, so sorted out that little issue. Got the arc in here, so I'll actually be able to open and close the blind. Next thing I'm going to do then is I'm actually going to cut down the trunking itself. Just measured this up in the van to make sure it fits in the aperture, and I'm going to cut 2 lengths of 42 centimeters, and that's going to go down this side here and then this side here, which are going to act as the tracks for the blind. Apart from nearly breaking their phone, I've got these cut down now. These are going to be like the runners as we talked about. So the plan is going to be hopefully that the blind will sit inside these, as it does, fits nicely. But also in terms of fixings, what I'm hoping to do is to be able to actually screw through the side here of the trunking directly into the blind itself. That way we've got the whole unit then itself is then self-contained, and this will be attached there as well. The other thing as well is the blind body at the top is slightly wider than the trunking. So I'm just going to trim down the sides of this just here, so we can make sure that this fits in correctly and we get a nice fit. The other thing I'm going to do, I am going to line these with four-way stretch carpet, so we've got a nice neat finish as well. Apart from on this one edge, the bottom edge that will attach to the actual panel, I'm going to leave that clear because I'm going to use that to attach the Velcro tape. So let's get to those little modifications. Just got that edge cut out now, so you can just see the The actual top of the blind itself now fits in, and then we've got the actual blind itself will pull down inside the actual runners itself. I'm just going to get these lined with 4-way stretch carpet, really to finish it off, but also to, you know, help with any rattles and stuff like that as well. So get that done now. That's one done. So just left that side uncarpeted, because that's going to be the bit that's going to stick to the actual panel itself. I just carpeted all the way and sort of on the inside there as well. So hopefully that's going to act as a little bit of sound deadening as well. So when the blind is actually running inside, it's going to be running up against the carpet, and maybe that'll deaden the sound if there is any sort of slight rattle there as well. So that's one done. Get on to the next one. Got both of those runners now carpeted and in place. So as you can see, as we talked about, hopefully the blind is going to attach in there as well. So it looks pretty neat. Same on the other side here as well. So what I want to do just before I do any final fixings, I'm just going to loosely put these in place onto the actual board and then quickly go back to the van, make sure that these are not spoiling on anything or any issues in the actual van in terms of fitting. And then we'll come back and think about getting these fixed in permanently. Just did that test fitting in the van of the blind itself. So there was not an issue, but just a little bit of minor adjustment. You can see on the back, what I've had to do is I did have to take about 1 inch off the runners, just so they could fit underneath where the aperture of the window was. So I've shortened these now to, I think, 39 centimeters on both sides. Yeah. The other thing that I had to do, I've had to move the actual blind itself down a little bit. So if you'll see now from the front, the blind just comes slightly below the aperture itself, which is fine. I'm okay with that. That looks all right. In terms of how I fit these then, so I've now got Velcro all onto one side of the actual blind, and that is now Velcro that's directly onto the carpet, and that seems really, really quite stable. And I've also got the Velcro tape underneath the runners as well. So underneath here, they're now firmly attached. Giving it a, let's say, a shake test. But that's not going anywhere. That's pretty solid. So pretty happy with that, because I wasn't 100% sure if we might need some solid fixings. When this does actually go into the van as well, you know, these runners are going to be quite tight up against the actual metal work, which will give it a little bit more rigidity as well. Next bit then, we're going to try and get these actually into the van and get these secured. Just got that first screw in place now, just at the top, just to make sure everything is level and all looking good. Fits well. Just going to go round now and make the other fixings. So probably going to go for 3 at the top. So 1 in each corner, and then 1 in the middle as well, and do that the same at the bottom. See what that's like in terms of it being a good solid fixing, and then we'll pretty much be done. And there we have it, my custom van pod shades all in. Looking really nice actually, I'm really happy with that. Not bad for a first DIY attempt. Comes down nicely like that. I'm glad I cut this little circle out in the middle, so that would have been an absolute nightmare. The only slight adjustment is it's pretty tight against the catch for the window. When we pull it down, we do have to just make sure we put tension on it this side. Just put the screw plugs in. They're hardly noticeable really, but that gives it a really firm attachment to the actual bodywork of the van itself. Happy days! Thanks for watching, guys. If you like what we've seen today, please consider giving us a like and a subscribe, and we'd love to see you on the next episode of Ford Transit Custom Camper Conversion.